Good evening, everyone, or is it good afternoon? Thank you so much for joining us on time. My name is Dr. Lucy Machocho. I'm the Technical Programs Assistant here at African Pharmaceutical Network, and I'll be your moderator for the day. I can see we are at about 50 participants. Let's just give the rest about 2 minutes to be able to join us, and then we can kick this off. All right, you can see we are 3 minutes past. For those that have just joined us, thank you so much for joining us on time. My name is Dr. Lucy Machocho, Technical Programs Assistant here at African Pharmaceutical Network. Apologies if you cannot be able to see me on camera. I seem to be having a challenge with my camera, but I want to officially welcome you to today's session. We'll be covering the East Africa Community Medicines Regulatory Harmonization Registration Pathway, and Diana Mark will be the one taking us through this particular topic, and we will be looking at the overview of the entire process. That is from how do you go about making the application to all the way to getting the recommendation from the EAC MRH, looking at the benefits and the eligibility criteria as well for the applicants. And without further ado, I want to take us through some of the housekeeping rules that we will use throughout the session. Just a minute, seems like my slides are not moving. So some of the housekeeping, one thing that you'll notice that the session is recorded, and this is to share it with the participants and also those that had registered and were interested in this particular pathway and were not able to attend the session. You'll also note that from your end, the microphones and videos are off to minimize any background noise. Please feel free to use the chat to network. We'd love to connect with you. Let us know where you're joining us from, what you do, and if possible, the organization that you're working with. Share your LinkedIn as well, if possible as well. And you can use the Q&A section to ask any questions, any burning questions that you may have, because the session today, I will first introduce the African Pharmaceutical Network for those of us that don't know what we do and why we do what we do. And then afterwards, Diana will be able to take us through the pathway, and the Q&A will come at the very end. So during Diana's session, if you have any burning questions, feel free to use the Q&A section. And while you're engaging, please engage respectfully. If you need any technical support, you're having any issues, feel free to reach out to me. My colleague Juliet is here as well. So just share on the various platforms, that is the chat, whether you'll be able to, whether you encounter any issues. And then if you have any feedback that is regarding this topic, or if you have any suggestions on various topics that you want us to facilitate in the future, we'd love to hear from you. This is our email. Moving on, I'd want to introduce African Pharmaceutical Network and who we are, what we do. So who we are basically a network, and what we do is we bring together professionals, every stakeholder working, or organization and stakeholders working in the pharmaceutical industry in Africa. Simply put, we solve for problems that hinder us from achieving pharmaceutical system strengthening or other strong pharmaceutical systems. And how we do this is by sharing knowledge, bringing the professionals together to share knowledge and best practices, because one of the things that was highlighted as a challenge in the local manufacturing plan for Africa was that there's a skills gap that needs to be addressed in Africa within the pharmaceutical sector. And with the organizations, how we solve for challenges that they encounter is basically we shape policies that hinder them from achieving the goal of facilitating access to quality, safe, and reliable medicines. And we also provide business ecosystems. We provide business ecosystem support, that is by acting as a local technical representative, providing regulatory services and pharmacovigilance services throughout the life cycle of the product. We also provide market intelligence to enable them to make informed decisions. And finally, we also facilitate partnerships for those that are interested in working with various stakeholders within the pharmaceutical sector in Africa, whether based in Africa or outside. We can be able to facilitate those partnerships for you. Our why for existing. During the COVID-19, we noted some challenges in the interventions that were put forth in the pharmaceutical sector of Africa in addressing the challenges that the pandemic had brought with it. And some of these challenges was that there was limited local manufacturing in Africa. And the limited local manufacturing is still apparent to now, because currently very few countries can be able to meet the demand the demand for health products and technologies that is in their country, with most of us importing 70 to 90% of the products that we use internally. And in the interventions that were put forth, the stakeholders within the pharmaceutical system are not working together, looking at how they can exchange ideas, talk to each other, and see better ways of working. And that limited the impact of the interventions that were put forth. Lastly, there was a lack of a single platform that can convince stakeholders to chart a path for the future. And so we established the African Pharmaceutical Network. One thing that prompted us to do this was that in addressing these challenges that hinder us from achieving pharmaceutical system strengthening, we have to note that it's not we don't have to wait for all the conditions to be right for us to say that we can now effectively address the challenges to ensure that our pharmaceutical systems are strong. We asked ourselves, what are the low-hanging fruits that we can easily implement and will have immediate impact while leveraging the existing resources that we have. And that is actually one of the reasons why we are gathered here today, because if you look at the registration of medicines, other than the national registration route that is available to us in our individual countries, the other alternative routes that we may not be exploring that are resources at the moment. And one of them is the East African Medicines Regulatory Harmonization pathway. And with this particular pathway, one thing that we noted is that the professionals themselves were either not aware of the pathway or they didn't know how to utilize it to ensure maximum value for the registration, or rather the regulatory strategies in the individual organizations. So we thought, why not bring someone from the EAC MRH to come and teach us how can we be able to use the pathway and ensure that we get these health products to the patients in a shorter timeline, because this is one of the benefits of the pathway compared to maybe going to individual countries for those that want to have market access in various countries. How can we be able to just use one pathway to ensure that it's quicker access to the various markets? And so our mission and vision is basically pharmaceutical system strengthening. And what does that look like for us? Is that every patient has reliable access to safe, effective, and quality health products and technologies. In our values, at the core of our values is humanity. And that's because before we are anything else, before we are professionals, we are human beings. Integrity, that we need to be ethical and accountable in our ways of dealing. Professionalism, because we are professionals in our ways of working right now. Client value creation. And we usually note that the client is our reason for being. And so we want to ensure that we provide the client with maximum value. And that's why maybe you usually see when you attend, for those of us that have attended our webinars before, we usually like to get your feedback. How did we do? And what can we improve on? And how can we ensure that these webinars are actually of value to you by addressing the challenges that you have? And then teamwork, because we can only achieve so much as an individual, but you can achieve even more as a team. So what does our journey look like since our inception? I had mentioned that in 2020, we established the foundation of principles that have been driving us so far. In 2021, we hosted the inaugural industry discussion forums, that is with partners such as IFPMA, FKPM, Pharma Connect Africa, and Bloom Public Health. In 2022, we signed a partnership agreement with Empower School of Health. They had some courses, they wanted to facilitate them to the African market, that is Kenya to be precise. And so we were able to act as a bridge. In 2023, we launched the Pharmacy Academy. Our first course was the Regulatory Affairs course. And some of the partners that we were able to also sign MOUs with during this time were IFPMA, H3D, Bloom Public Health. And in 2024, that was last year, we scaled up the courses to introduce the pharmacovigilance and patient safety course and the pharmaceutical supply chain management course. And also we rolled out market research and advisory support services. I think I walked you through our services. Pharmaceutical workforce development is at the core of it, because through such platforms, we facilitate knowledge sharing and also sharing of best practices, and also through our trainings. I think I mentioned all of this, so I'll quickly move on. So who do we rely on to do what we do? We have an advisory board composed of 3. We have John Paul Omolo, who is a health system strengthening and health policy advocacy specialist. He is currently at Roche. And we have Kirtin Asai, a private sector engagement specialist in South Africa. And then McDonald Noswe, who is in the research, clinical care, and academia space. And John Paul Omolo serves as the board chair. In the management team, we are the able hands of Dr. David Odhiambo, who is our curator. Our head of operations is Dr. Kelvin Odongo. Our head of knowledge management is Dr. Esther Anyango. Head of business support services is Dr. Maisiba Denish. And the head of the Pharmacy Academy is Dr. Anushri Patel. In the day-to-day running of the organization, we have the secretariat team composed of myself, Ms. Juliet Ouma, and Thomas Ogola. So we have our membership. As I mentioned, we are a network. So the network is composed of members. The members can be individuals or institutions. For individuals, we have both students and professionals, and these are those in the pharmaceutical industry. So for students, those who are pursuing a degree or diploma in pharmaceutical sciences, Bachelor of Pharmacy or a PharmD, and the cost for that is $25. For the professionals, we have those that are working in the pharmaceutical industry, that is from research and development all the way to clinical care. The cost of that is $50 USD. Some of the benefits for the individual members is that they get access to training opportunities at discounted rates. We also have communities of practice that they can access where they can facilitate learning, mentorship as well. And then for the companies that reach out to us with consulting with business ecosystem support services, we are able to also reach out to our members for support and refer them to trainings, to organizations, because we are known for trainings. And so organizations do reach out to us to seeking talent. So we are able to refer our members. When it comes to such forums, webinars, we also give members a priority because that's a way for them to build their thought leadership skills. In the institutional membership, we have the African institutions and the international institutions. For the Africans, those are the ones that are domiciled in Africa, and the cost is $1,000 USD. And then for the international ones, are those ones that are domiciled in a country outside of Africa, but would like to penetrate the African market. And some of the benefits for these members is market intelligence, business ecosystem support services at discounted rate. We also help them to shape policies to ensure that it's enabling for them to operate in the African market. And linkages to partnerships based on their interests business-wise. Some of the courses that we have, I had mentioned the 3, and currently we have enrollments going on for all the 3. So if you're interested, do feel free to reach out to us to enroll. All our courses are 3 months, and they are taking place once a week. So it's quite convenient for someone who is managing both work and trying to also enhance their professional, or rather develop their skills. Some of our partners are as shown. We have IFPME, FIP, H3D, Bloom Public Health, Empower Swiss, and African Pharmaceutical Forum. So how can you engage with us? You can be a member, you can partner on projects, or you can learn with us. And with that, I come to the end of my presentation. So I'll quickly move on to introducing our speaker for the day. And Diana Maknju is a highly experienced medicine regulator with nearly 8 years experience in medical product regulation. She holds a bachelor's in pharmacy and a master's in pharmaceutical quality assurance and regulations from Ireland. She is skilled in leading quality and clinical assessments for medicines, ensuring they meet high standards of safety, efficacy, and quality for marketing approval. As a fellow in the Global Health Protection Program at TMDA, that is Tanzania Medicines Medicines and Drug Authority, and a regional technical officer in the EAC MRH. Diana has extensive experience in interregional collaboration, including joint assessment and training initiatives in the EAC and WAHO regions. She is proficient in good manufacturing practice inspections, ensuring that medicinal products meet exceptional safety standards. She has contributed to the African Medicines Harmonization, that is AMA, African Medicines Agency, assessing medicinal products for priority diseases and serving as a clinical or non-clinical assessor. Additionally, she's a member of the AMA Vaccine Oversight Subcommittee, which works on the RCOR programs. That is the Regional Center of Regulatory Excellence Programs to enhance regulatory capacity in Africa. Driven by her commitment to medicines regulation, Diana is committed to improving outcomes in the sector, ensuring high-quality medicines are available for public health and strengthening healthcare systems across the region. So without further ado, then I'll hand it over to you.
Okay, thank you very much for the introduction. I'll just take a few seconds to share my slide.
We can see them. Kindly put them on slideshow.
Okay. Okay, please confirm if you can see.
Yes, we can.
Okay. Today we're going to discuss about the guide to the EAC MRH registration pathway. So the presentation is going to have a thorough overview on how the process of the East African Community Medicine Regulatory Harmonization registration pathway is aiming at streamlining the approval process of the medical products in the region. So as we know that the East African Community is a region of intergovernmental organizations of 8 partner states. Currently, the Republic of Burundi, Democratic Republic of Congo, the Republic of Kenya, the Republic of Rwanda, the Federal Republic of Somalia, the Republic of South Sudan, the Republic of Uganda, the United Republic of Tanzania, in which its headquarters it is in Arusha, Tanzania. So the question is, how does the regulatory harmonization improve the medicine access in Africa? So your presenter today is Ms. Diana Njiu. As introduced earlier, I'm the drug registration officer. I'm working with the Tanzanian Medicine and Medical Devices Regulatory Authority, which is also part of the EAC MRH program. So this slide illustrates the key dimensions of the medicine access across the EAC region and the Africa as a whole. It highlights the importance of ensuring the availability, affordability, quality, and distribution systems. So when we talk about availability, what do we mean? Ensuring essential medicines are physically available throughout the EAC region. Each country, each member is having the opportunity to access quality products, the affordability, making the medicine economically accessible for all populations across the partner states, and also ensuring those medicines of high quality, having the quality assurance, maintaining the strict standards to ensure that safe and effective medications are accessible, and also the distribution. So we want our region to ensure that there's created efficient system to deliver medicines to the urban and remote communities. Involving several efforts, we have seen that there are several efforts going around the African continent, such as the regulatory harmonization or the universal health goal, the EAC MRH, AMA, African Medicine Agents. These are some of the efforts that are going on across Africa to fast track the medicine registration and approvals. There's some other efforts such as the local pharmaceutical manufacturing efforts that have been going on to strengthening African capacity to produce essential drugs within the region and within Africa. Different partnerships also have been carried to ensure that there will be this access of medicine and also ensuring collaboration to boost medicine supply chains and also combating the counterfeits of the medicines across the region. So at the end, it is our desire that African continent have assurance of access of medicines. So in this presentation, I'm going to take you through some few topics, and the topics will cover the introduction, where we'll get to know on the overview of the EAC scope within the Africa, the EAC MRH, what is it, when was it established, the relevant objectives for the initiating of the program, the benefits for the companies and applicants, and we'll learn who are the key stakeholders involved, the main regulatory authorities involved, the step-by-step process of registration, the timelines and the processing fees. And also, if any of you have heard about the sustainability plan, the EAC MRH sustainability plan, if you've heard or you've not heard, you'll get a chance to hear about it a bit. And also the importance of the EAC MRH pathway and some challenges or any future outlook, and also have a conclusion. So within Africa, the East African Community is a region of about 8 partner states, as we have mentioned them before. We have Burundi, we have Congo, we have Republic of Kenya, Republic of Rwanda, the Federal Republic of Somalia, the Republic of South Sudan, Republic of Uganda, Republic of Tanzania, with its headquarters in Arusha. So Africa is the world's second largest and the second most populous continent after Asia, and with about 1.4 billion people as of 2021 data statistics. And it accounts for about 18% of the world's population. So the African population is regarded as the youngest among the continents, and also is divided into different regions: the East Africa, the West Africa, North Africa, Central Africa, and Southern Africa. So coming to have the overview of the East African community, which is one of the regions within the Africa. So the East African community was officially formed on December 1st, 1967, with the founding members Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And it aimed to create a common market, economic cooperation, and shared services. And with 8 member states, it means other members joined later. These were Rwanda, Burundi, South Sudan, and the Democratic of Congo. And there were several achievements that were achieved, including establishing custom unions 2005 and common market, and working towards the monetary union and political federation. So the EAC continues to be the leading regional bloc in Africa, promoting economic growth, trade, and regulatory harmonization, including areas like the medicines regulatory harmonization initiatives. And the EAC community has the total of 8 partner states that span from the Indian Ocean to Atlantic Ocean, with estimated population of 337 million, which equals to the 24% of the African population. So about the EAC MRH initiative, so the members will be very excited to know about it. So this is a regional program established in 2012 to enhance the regulatory harmonization of the medicine in East African community. The aim was to improve the access to safe, effective, and quality-assured medicines across the EAC member states, supported by the EAC Secretariat, the National Medicine Regulatory Authorities, other partners such as the WHO, NEPAD, and other development partners. So these partners, some of them were the Swiss Medic, the other NEPAD, the Bill and Melinda Gates, the World Bank, the USAID, the GIZ. They've been participating parallel to facilitate this program to come into success. So what were the objectives for starting these initiatives, the EAC MRH initiatives? Some of the key objectives were to implement an agreed common technical document for registration of medicines. So we know that before 2012, one of the challenges, we had a proper format of our submissions. So the countries or the partner states came into agreement that they should have a common technical document for the submission of the technical information, so that to facilitate the registration of the medicines. And also to implement a common information management system, and also to implement a quality management system. So most of the NRAs were in different levels. So we thought that it's very important. They thought that it's very important to empower them and making sure that the organizational agencies within the countries, they've assured quality management systems and awareness. And also to promote reliance and work sharing among regulators. As we said, there were states which were of high resource and others were of low resource, high capacity in terms of knowledge, in assessment of the technical information. So if there was a chance for having the work sharing among regulators, this was one of the aim on that time. and also to build regional and national capacity to implement medicine regulatory harmonization, and also to implement a framework for mutual recognition of medicines registrations. So it means understanding and having a room among the states accepting the decisions that we already made from the EAC MRH forum and implement them as fast as possible, rather than duplication of work. So with that, since the inception of the EAC MRH, there are several achievements that have been made, such as establishment of the common technical document. So through this pathway, applicants or registrants that are interested, they can access what were the actual requirements in which, if they submit this information in any EAC country or in Africa as a whole, it will not be a surprise. This is the document in which is all known by the manufacturers, the applicants, all those who are interested to market the product in the region. And also, the pathway managed to reduce the medicine approval timelines from over 2 years to about 6 to 12 months. And also, they managed to conduct joint dossier reviews and GMP inspections as a joint program. So for this case, it will remove the duplication and also save time. And also, it created some EAC regional center of regulatory excellence. So it means some of the partner states have managed to be the center of excellence for training others and provide the capacity building to other members. So for the case of the pharmaceutical companies and the regulatory authorities, there are some benefits that have been seen that they benefit from this pathway. So the EAC MRH pathway for medicine registration fasten the market entry. So if you use the route, you'll succeed to at least reduce your approval timelines. So from 2 years to 6 to 12 months. So this is just based on the data and the review that have been shown, that for those applications that goes through this route, they a bit take a shorter time compared to going to each individual country, approach it individually, and they assess the technical information and come back to the applicant. There's also harmonized requirements. It means single submission for multiple EAC countries using the common technical submission. And also there will be lower regulatory costs, reduced duplication of submission and the inspections, and also increased market access. So once you've approved your product through you've received the approval from the EAC route, there's a possibility for an increased market access because you have a chance for multiple access to different countries at the same time. So all those countries that you initially declared that you're interested with, you have access to their markets. And also there's a strong industry regulator collaboration. So through EAC route, we managed to have clear guidelines and predictable regulatory process. Everything is clear, everything is documented. And also even the regulators also benefited from this pathway because since the regulatory processes, they are clearly and streamlined, the same methodology have been adopted to those countries. For instance, those who had no systems earlier, they managed to put their systems in place. So through the work sharing, the efficiency was improved through the joint assessment, the inspection, the joint inspections. It means they involve 2 or 3 or more NRAs from different states. So as a result, there will also be the capacity building, whereby there is also from the joint inspections and the trainings, different NMRAs have been benefiting from that. And also enhanced public health, faster access to quality and safe and effective medicines. And also there's a chance of work sharing and reliance among NMRAs. So it means the decision that is already made through the EAC can be adopted by the countries without repeating again the work, and also reduce the workload through the mutual recognition among the EAC regulators. There's also a strong regional integration. So it means this is a better regulatory collaboration and the information sharing. So the member states can have access to the reports if it is the joint assessment or if it's a GMP inspection, they can have access to the reports and have their data in order. So who are the key regulatory authorities and stakeholders for this pathway? So here we are talking about the EAC, the East African Community Secretariat. We also have the National Medicine Regulatory Authorities. So for all these 8 member states that we have been mentioning, Burundi, Kenya, Rwanda, South Sudan, Tanzania, Uganda, DRC, Congo, and Somalia. So each NMRAs is involved equally, though some of the states have joined lately. And also we have technical working groups. So in order to have the common technical documents, the guidelines, the SOPs, it means they are taking technical working groups that have been involved. And these are a team of experts within the region that have been involved to prepare all these materials, the guidelines and the SOPs within the program. And these technical working groups are continued to be involved in different activities within the pathway. And also we have the pharmaceutical industry and private sectors. And also we have some development partners such as African Union development agents that have been providing a strong technical support and guidance on the regulatory harmonization throughout the process. And also the World Health Organization supports capacity building. They normally attend some of the meetings to provide guidance in the GMP inspections and also in the joint dossier assessments. So we normally have the assistance from the WHO. And they also provide regulatory strengthening and policy development, especially to those countries who are still developing on this area or in our region. And as we earlier said, we also have some regional center of excellence for capacity building and providing trainings to other members. So the EAC MRH registration process, an overview of it. So when we talk about registration pathway, it means there will be a receipt of an application. So at first, the application is received. So it means there will be submission of the dossier to the EAC MRH Secretariat. So I want to clarify it here. Based on this program, for medicine registration pathway, it is TMDA who is the lead NMRA who are responsible for receiving application current. Receiving, submitting to them, but the TMDA is the ones handling the applications for the EAC MRH, and the NDA Uganda, they'll be dealing for the GMP inspection. So once you submit your application, there'll be assessment part whereby there'll be joint review of all the EAC experts from all the 8 EAC states, and also further, once the review is done and there's enough communication between the NMRAs and the applicants and the information is sufficient, and then there will be an approval stage whereby there will be registration granted in all participating states. So we receive approval from EAC and then the approval is granted in all participating states. So the diagram on the right side clarifies the process whereby the lead NMRAs will receive the application. In stepwise, they screen the application and distribute it. They also schedule for joint session, whereby the dossier or the technical information that you have submitted to the EAC will be reviewed in 2 rounds, first assessment, second assessment, and then this round involves all the EAC partner states participating. So there'll be first assessment and second assessment, and then joint session in which they discuss the reports that have been assessed and then finalized. So it means the outcome of the assessment can be approval, or maybe you can have some pending issue which needs to be communicated, or it can be approval. So the outcome is submitted, and if it is approval, the administrative process goes on under the secretariat, under the partner states. And also, if the pending issue additional information is requested, this information is communicated back to the applicant. And again, the applicant need to communicate it to the lead NMRA after completion of compilation of the additional information. So this is the overview of the process. And what I want to emphasize here is that this process should go parallel to the GMP compliance, ensuring facility GMP compliance is achieved. So the process should go parallel. You submit your application, but at the same time, you initiate the process about the GMP compliance. So perhaps we might have another session for discussion about what should be done on the part of the GMP compliance. But for me today, I'll talk more of the medicine registration process. So moving to understand the eligibility criteria and requirements for the EAC MRH registration pathway. So normally some of the requirements include the product should be a pharmaceutical product. So for this pathway, as we have started, we want pharmaceutical products. Maybe we do not want some traditional medicines. So one of the priorities, it should be a pharmaceutical product, and the medicine should be intended for registration in 2 or more EAC member states. So the program requires at least introduction or interest to 2 or more EAC member states. So you cannot, this pathway cannot be applicable to you if you just want 1 member state, at least 2 or more member states, so that it can be meaningful that you want to penetrate. So when we say you're intending to 2 or more member states, it means there will be some payment and there'll be some initial submission of your application to notify the particular member states. For instance, if it is Kenya and South Sudan. And also the applicants must be pharmaceutical manufacturers. Must be the pharmaceutical manufacturers or marketing authorization holders, and also all authorized representatives. It means the LTR, local technical representatives. So other than these, they will not be fitting to be the applicants. And when we talk about the local technical representatives, it means these are the representatives within the actual countries you are interested in to market your pharmaceutical products or to penetrate. And also the manufacturing compliance is one of the important aspects. Facilities must meet the good manufacturing practice standards, national or EAC joint inspection. So it means there's some scenarios that you may undergo GMP approval through the national route, but also if you have not undergone through that route, you can also go through the EAC joint GMP inspections. So it doesn't mean that the route limits you. You can either choose, but if it's an EAC application, you can also choose for the EAC joint GMP inspection. And this route also has its advantages. I believe there will be another session when we can get to hear about it, but it has some advantages and also saving time and also avoid duplication of work, like approaching individual country every time rather than use a single route and accomplish the inspection at the same time. And also the product type that are intended include essential medicines and generic products, innovative products, vaccines, biologicals. And also for the EAC MRH joint assessment, there is a priority list of medicine which is available for the management of selected disease. This priority list of medicine is mentioned under this slide. So as we said, there are different technical working groups and team of experts. So they reviewed based on the demand from the NRAs within EAC. These were the criteria in which the pathway came up with to ensure that this will be our priority for the time being. So the medicine for the management of the following medical conditions, such as the maternal, the neonatal, the children health, the HIV, malaria, tuberculosis, reproductive and neurological disorders, neglected diseases, leishmaniasis, pneumocytosis, toxoplasmosis, filariasis, strongyloidiasis, cancer, diabetes, hypertension, kidney, hepatic, and neurological conditions. And also there can also be prescription medicine from domestic manufacturers within the EAC region. So domestic manufacturers within the EAC region, they are highly encouraged to use this route. And some of them have been utilizing them very well for some of the countries. Maybe more emphasis will be given to make sure that there is awareness about this pathway so that more domestic manufacturers can utilize this pathway. And also the biotherapeutics products, the biosimilars, they're also acceptable through this route. But most of all, what is really encouraged is the regulatory compliance. The regulatory compliance, in addition to the manufacturing compliance. So the companies must adhere to the regulatory standards set forth by local authorities and relevant health agencies within their states to ensure that the products meet the relevant safety and quality requirements before entering the market. The compliance with regulatory guidelines is essential by ensuring the protection of public health and maintaining trust in the pharmaceutical industry. So what will not fit or it's not recommended is the products that have been WHO pre-qualified or intended to be submitted to the WHO pre-qualified. Why do we say that? Because already we know that we need to maintain our resources. Now, if the product has already been approved by WHO, it means once they, according to our standards and regulatory policies within the individual partner states, it means this product, if it is already WHO pre-qualified, it will be fast-tracked within the country. So there is no need again to bring it to the EAC pathway. So we better deal with those applications that have not been reviewed at all by any pathway. And also applicants are urged or required to have a period of at least 2 years to introduce the product to the EAC partner states. So once you initially applied for the 2 countries, so once you want to expand your market, you need to expand it to all other countries, at least within 2 years. You also need to apply to these other countries so that if you're talking about access to medicine, it means all the countries will have access to the authorized product through the route. So what are the essential requirements for the registration? As we said, the regulatory compliance, will see it everywhere, but the actual technical information that are required in the CTD, we need the EAC CTD compliance. So it means a full submission as per format, which is available in our guidelines. The quality overall summary, the information from module 1 to module 2, module 3, module 5, the comprehensive chemistry, manufacturing data and control data assessment. It means the quality information, all of it should be fully compiled and submitted. Information of the detailed clinical data that has been conducted, if it is, maybe if it's a new chemical entity, or maybe if the information were not available. So at this point, you need to submit the data for the particular product, if maybe it's a new indication or a new product. And also thorough and clinical data review, if required, and also bioequivalence data analysis, mostly for the generic products based on the requirements, and also some supplementary information gathering, depending on your product, and other regulatory agents review and reports. Sometimes there may be some reliance of the information from other regulatory. So it means if there's possibility of accessing the reports, then it can be submitted or some communication may be done. And also medical and scientific literatures, they are also part of the package. So once you're submitting through this route, you should be aware of these technical requirements that are required. So normally the pathway has a processing fees. So the processing fees for the medicinal product registration under the EAC MRH framework are determined by each member state NMRA and can vary accordingly. So it means we have different member states, about 8 countries. So each country has their own regulatory authority. They've set their processing fees for the application. So once you're interested to at least 2 countries, it means you can approach the countries and pay their respective fees. So for our pathway, if you're talking about medicine registration, we expect there will be processing fee for the medicine registration, but you'll also be required to have some processing fees paid for the GMP joint inspection if you're using the EAC joint inspection route. So the responsible NMRAs for medicine registration is TMDA. The processing fees is available on the website. And also the Uganda, the processing fees can also be accessed from their website. So applicants are required to pay these fees direct to the respective NMRAs where they seek marketing authorization. So it is important to note that while there is no centralized fee for the regional assessment process under the EAC MRH, there have been some ongoing discussions about establishing such system to streamline fee collection and support collection and support the sustainability of the program. So when you talk about centralized fee, it means there is no like a central point currently for like collecting the money, even for the NMRAs, like you want to penetrate to the EAC 2 or 3 states, where do you pay the lump sum of the money? No, currently we do not have that. And still the individual member states are receiving their respective fees. However, as we said, there have been some ongoing discussion about establishing this system, but meanwhile, there's also been a sustainability plan for the program. So when you talk about the sustainability plan, maybe we may also have some other opportunity to discuss more about it in another session where we'll invite the coordinators also to talk more about it. But the East African Regulatory Harmonization Program, collaborating with the partner states since 2015, have made progress in promoting integration and cooperation in the pharmaceutical sector in line with the EAC Treaty, Article 118, Chapter 21. However, the EAC joint regulatory process still relies on the funding from the development partners to sustain the implementation of the technical activities and human resources. So due to this, during the 11th meeting of the Forum of the Heads of the National Regulatory Authority and the 15th meeting of the Steering Committee for the EAC MRH program, it was agreed that the NRAs should contribute to the costs related to the EAC joint regulatory activities. Following a series of consultative meetings and the directives from the 22nd ordinary meeting of the EAC Sectoral Council of Ministers of Health, it was agreed to implement the sustainability plan for the EAC MRH program since the financial support to the EAC MRH was coming to an end in 2024. So meaning since 2024, the support from different financial support has been going to an end. So for this case, this plan aimed to involve NMRAs to provide the contribution for the pathway. So this sustainability plan was endorsed by the 24th ordinary meeting of the EAC Sectoral Council of Ministers of Health. And this means that implementation of the sustainability plan will involve those seeking to register and market in EAC required to pay coordination fees or top-up fees to the EAC MRH joint inspection for good manufacturing practice, or EAC joint dossier assessment and other joint regulatory activities. So this plan has been ongoing. Since the endorsement has been done, as we've seen, the endorsement was done on 3rd May 2024. There have been some ongoing efforts to ensure that all the member states are sensitized about this, and also to implement what has been agreed. So the coordination or the top-up fees will be paid direct to the EAC MRH account so as to sustain the EAC MRH program for the time being as one of the agreed directives. So when we want to understand the timelines, EAC also has set the respective timelines, as we have discussed that there are different stages in which the application which is submitted is reviewed until it reaches to the approval. So it means there will be receipt of the dossier application, screening of the technical information, also issuing some invoice, first evaluation of the application, second evaluation of your application, and also quality assurance review, and also convening a virtual or physical meeting, communicating with the applicants the outcome of your evaluation, and then communicating to the NMRAs and EAC Secretariat the final decision, and then implementation of the decisions by the NMRAs. So the total of these timelines comes up to 180 days, in which we expect the product, if the product does not have any issue at all the information acceptable, it should be accepted and approved within 180 days. However, you should consider there are some different timelines for query responses or requiring additional information from the applicant. And this is very important for the applicants or registrants to understand that there will be a clock stop once the communication is coming on your side. So the clock will stop, and there will be once you submit your response back to the regulatory authorities, when they start counting again the timeline or the number of days in which your application has taken. So the current status of the received application through the route, as we said, it started from 2015. We only received 9 applications, and it took about 553 current days. But for the data on 2023, number of applications increased at least 5 times, and the median reviews range between 6 to 12 months. So it means the timelines have been reducing. There's also a cumulative trend of the product applications from 2015 to 2024. There have been an increasing number of applications. So to date, we have 252 applications. We have 252 applications from 2015 to 2024. And if we look on the cumulative trend of the product applications from 2015 to 2025, so here some more application from 254 now up to 2025. We have about 295 applications, and each year we have different number of applications, but the data shows there've been an increasing number of applications from the applicants using this route. So for 2025, this is as for data in February, it was 11. So now we are in March, there is more number of applications which has not been accounted here. And type of the product manufacturer. So when we look on comparing foreign and domestic manufacturer, we are receiving more applications from foreign manufacturer compared to the domestic manufacturer. So about 7% or only 21 applications from the domestic manufacturer, while for the foreign applicants, we have about 93% of applications received from that route. And when, so you can see for different years from 2015, which years we received more domestic and more foreign dossier applications up to year 2025. And when we compare between the biologicals and the pharmaceuticals, we have more number of the pharmaceuticals compared to the biological products. And of course, there are more numbers from the foreign applicants compared to the domestic. So when you want to see out of 295 applications that we have received through the route, all of them by March, they've been assessed, 100% of the received application. And out of those, 150 applications have been recommended for registration. So it's about 51%. And also 145 applications, they have not been recommended, meaning they're in different stages of assessment or communications with the applicant. So on the right side, you can see different number of applications received for different countries. Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, Rwanda, Abrema, Zanzibar, South Sudan. And for the new countries that have recent joined, Republic of Somalia and Congo, we still do not have their number here because they've recently joined and they've also recently managed to participate in the joint assessments. So the median time per year, if we have to look on the median time for the last 8 years, they've been slightly decrease on the median time. So it means over the years, the median time is reducing, which is the positive indicator of the EAC MRH process, meaning we are managing to agree with the information submitted or available for a particular product, ensuring its quality, safety, and efficacy for a shorter time compared to when the initiative started. So there's about 53% decline in the median time taken for review of the technical information submitted at the national regulatory authority levels. So what are the key benefits for the EAC MRH? As we have said, faster registration, reducing timelines for registration, at least less than a year, 6 to 12 months. And also reduce cost. So if we are aiming at having a single submission for the multiple countries, it means there'll be just communication to the local technical representatives, ensuring that all the issues are resolved, and it will use some costs to approach each individual country. And there's also an increased access and ensuring that there'll be medicinal product available to all patients within the region. And also through the pathway, as we said, there've been more collaborations, more capacity buildings, and as a result, there will be enhanced regulatory oversight. So the vital role for the national medicine regulatory authorities, what does the respective national regulatory authorities have to do with this pathway? They participate into the application assessment. So they provide their expertise, their team of experts, involvement, support, and also such as in the joint assessment reviews, the GMP inspections, and also the post-marketing surveillance, guiding this product that has been introduced into the market till reaching the end user, who is the patient, and try to conduct the ensuring they conduct the post-marketing surveillance to ensure that the actual product that was initially approved still maintain its actual standards, quality, safety, and efficacy. So as we have said, this route has so many importance, but some of them is to ensure that there's faster access to essential medicines. As we know, each country has its essential list of medicines. So first of all, as a goal, we should ensure, first of all, that all the essential medicines are available. And this route can be fully utilized and to facilitate that, to improve medicine quality and safety, to lower cost and increase efficiency, reduce duplication of regulatory process, which leads to cost saving for the manufacturers and health care systems, to boost pharmaceutical industry growth, simplified market entry, encouraging investment and development of the regional pharmaceutical center, and also it's strengthening regional health security, whereby there'll be coordinated regulatory approaches better to protect public health and respond to the regional health challenges. So in addition to the route, there is also the post-marketing surveillance at the end after the approval. It means reviewing the technical information is not the end. There will be the post-marketing surveillance to ensure the ongoing safety of the product. So there will be continuous monitoring of the medicine safety and efficacy. So this entity involves advanced events reaction reporting and implementations of the risk mitigation plans, and also continuous monitoring of the product in the marketing and review of the advanced drug reactions reporting. There are several challenges related to the route. Ensuring consistent implementation across the EAC partner states is a key challenge. Strengthening NMRA capacity and leveraging technology are essential for future success. We see that there's been a challenge of the weak or non-coherent legislative frameworks, redundant or duplicative processes, inefficient and limited technical capacity. It's still a challenge to some of the member states. Also sluggish medicine registration processes, which may lead to some of the delays, and also some changes on the funds to sustain the program. So we are aware of these challenges, and the initiative have been putting more efforts to tackle these challenges so as to ensure that the program objectives, mission, and vision are reached. I hope I've not taken so much of time, but in conclusion, the EAC MRH, this is a path to a better health. So the EAC MRH is transforming medicine regulation in East Africa. It streamlines registration and it increases access to quality medicine and drives economic growth. It also serves as a model for regional harmonization in Africa. For this, it serves about 330 million people benefiting to access to quality of medicines, whereby through this route, they've been successful ensuring registration time is conducted in a fast approved process for at least less than 1 year. And for this case, we still encourage the stakeholders, applicants to utilize the existing EAC MRH pathway and continue to develop, manufacture, and supply good quality, safe, and efficacious products to protect and promote health and, above all, safeguard all African citizens. For this case, I have reached to an end to provide you the overview of the EAC MRH program. And to this point, I may welcome the Secretariat to at least welcoming those who might have some questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Diana. That was very informative. I would like to directly go to the questions. I see time is not on our side, but I'm seeing the participants are really appreciating the work you've done. They've really enjoyed the session. So thank you so much for that as well. I see some questions. Yeah, so I see some questions. Let me just start. I have mine here, but I'm seeing, let me prioritize the participants first and see if I'll have time to ask mine. So the first question that is here, David Karenye, I hope I've pronounced that right, asks, must reference state, that is Tanzania, be selected among the countries where the product is to be granted market authorization? Because I think he asks this because you mentioned that the first application needs to be made to 2 countries. So must one of those countries be Tanzania, the lead NMRA?
Okay. Should I take one by one question?
Yes, I think that would be better.
Okay. I want to clarify that currently, EAC does not have their own system to handle all these applications. So for that case, it was agreed that the lead NMRAs system, meaning this is the RIM systems in which we handle all the applications. The lead MRI system will be used for handling all these applications. So for that case, in order to handle this application reaching to an end, you must include the lead MRIs, meaning also you will also be required to pay and submit. As we know, we do not have a centralized system through the EAC in which they could handle all the applications, but on behalf of the EAC, the application is received by the lead MRIs to facilitate for the time being. So once we have our own system, all the applications will be handled under the EAC. That's what I can say.
Thank you, Diana. I believe that is clear. David, you may confirm in case that question was not addressed as you would like. Moving on, Singh asks, at which point should the fees be paid, or should we request an invoice from each country which is intended for submission?
At which point? At the initial point. At the initial point, once you're interested to market your product through the EAC route, you are supposed to get the invoice from the respective country. Again, as we said, we do not have a centralized system in which we could handle all the applications. So it means you still need to get the invoice from the respective country in which you're interested and then make the payment. And then when you come to the lead NMRIs for your submission, you just show that the evidence of payment that you've paid to so-and-so countries so that your application can be processed under the EAC. And as we said, it's at least 2 EAC countries or more. The payment can be made and submitted, and the lead NMRs will handle your application till at the end.
That is very clear. Thank you, Diana. Miriam also had the same question, so I believe the clarity has been provided to you. Giovanna asks, could you please clarify the points regarding the WHO pre-qualified products?
Okay. One of the requirements in our expression of interest for the finished product to be marketed under EAC region, we have listed our products, but we do not encourage submission of already WHO pre-qualified products because what we want is to utilize the resources that we already have. So it means this WHO pre-qualified product, it means it is already assessed and it is already maybe approved by the WHO. So it means if it comes to the national route, they'll fast track this application according to our policies and regulations in all the EAC states. This falls under the products that will be fast-tracked or given priority to be approved because they've already been reviewed and approved by WHO. So we'll not want to repeat the work that is already done by the WHO. That's why we are not encouraging the WHO pre-qualified products to go through this route, but rather submit to the countries and take short time to approve it. But here we review all other products, such as the new chemical entities, the biologicals, the generics, biosimilars, all other applications that have not been reviewed prior by other initiatives or other processes that we recognize them as the member states or as EAC, so as to save the resources that we have rather than repeating the work. I don't know if it clarifies the concern.
I think on my end that was clear. Maybe Giovanna, please confirm if that was addressed to the level that you required it to be addressed. Use the chat kindly. David asks, given that Tanzania has two regulators for mainland, that is TMDA, and Zanzibar, that is ZFDA, is ZFDA in the EAC MRH program?
Yes, ZFDA is in the EAC MRH program. Maybe when I was mentioning, you did not see it mentioned, maybe because it's under Tanzania. When you talk about Tanzania, it means there's mainland and there's also Zanzibar. But it's also one of the member because when it comes to the health issues, they have their own board or agency handling all the health-related matters, including the medicine regulation. So for that case, if you want to register or market your product in Zanzibar, you also need to approach them and make sure that they are aware of that. And if there's payment need to be made, it will be made through them, Zanzibar.
Right, that is clear. Thank you so much. Singh asks, will there be a joint registration certificate issued, or will each country issue an independent registration certificate with its own registration number?
Okay. Normally, there's an EAC approval letter, which is issued at the end when your product is recommended for approval. But currently, the requirement requires you to get the approval certificate from each member state. So once you receive the approval letter from the EAC, you may approach the member states that you showed interest that you need your approval. And for those member states which you had not paid or you had not showed interest before, you go with your technical information, you make the payment, but along with the approval certificate showing that you already have a positive recommendation from the EAC Secretariat about the particular product.
All right, thank you, Diana. Moving on. So I am seeing Emily Yondo has quite a number of questions. So one of them is actually one of the questions that I had, so maybe I can start with this one. Thank you, Diana, for a nice presentation. However, I need clarification regarding the following. What challenges do NRAs face in complying with a 90-day timeline following original recommendation? I think for that one, we can leave it for the part 2 of this webinar to go into in-depth, because we have an upcoming webinar. So this was part 1. This was a 2-part webinar. Part 1 was to do an overview of the pathway and understand what exactly the registration process looks like. And then we have part 2 is on how to navigate the recommendation, positive recommendation. So we'll have a representative NRA from all the countries in EAC, and they will be speaking on the experiences, challenges, and opportunities that lie in navigating the recommendation in the particular NRA. So we can start with this first question. I will share the link so that you can register. Since its inception, SADC has approved more products than EAC. what do you think are the factors that make SADC or Zazibona a more attractive option for applicants compared to EAC?
Okay. All of these regulatory communities, I would say we have different scenarios, but all of us, we are moving forward, aiming to approve more number of applications. As I've said, one of the challenge also maybe is to ensure that there's more awareness among applicants, and being aware of these routes will facilitate more applicants to be interested to come into the routes. And also another thing is I do not want to compare. Maybe there's a different scenario over there on the SADC. Maybe I may not be maybe having so much of information to say why they've been successful and why you feel like we have not been successful. So far, we are doing our best to be successful. And also one of the challenges is also funds to sustain the program. So as we've said, for about 2-3 years, we've been going to an end. The funds have been going to an end. And also, if we are facing challenge to conduct routine joint assessment or routine joint inspections, this may somehow be delaying the process. So if it delays the process, it means even the number of applications that may be finalized may somehow take time. But if we were stable on that area, I believe it could facilitate more. So what I know for them, I think they have a different scenario on that part, stability on part of funds sustaining their program. I can see Felicitas has raised the hand. Maybe I think she wants to contribute.
Yes, please go ahead, Doc. I've enabled your mic. Felicitas, are you in a position to respond? I've enabled the mic on your end, so you should be able to unmute it and speak. All right, so as you wait for Felicitas, so Emily, kindly requesting that in the interest of time, I just take 2 more of your questions. I can see you had 6, but I also leave room for other participants. For the rest of the questions, I think I can share the secretariat email for EAC MRH. Then I hope that's okay, so that they can pose these questions to you for those that we will not have addressed in this time.
Thank you. Yes, I get it.
Yeah. So the other question Emily had was, why is there no dedicated registry or tracking system for products approved under the EAC MRH initiative?
We have a dedicated registry for tracking all the applications for EAC MRH. Maybe that is not published, but internally we have our internal registry in which we follow up on these applications. And also, you should be visiting the EAC MRH website. Normally the updates and the information for the applications that are recommended, or if there's any announcement regarding what is going on about the MRH pathway, it's also normally published there or announced. And sometimes also TMDA, if there's any issue concerning the EAC MRH products, they normally also publish some announcements on their website. So TMDA as a lead NMRAs normally also post these announcements. And some of the announcements also, they also announce on the EAC MRH website.
Thank you, Diana. I think that's clear. If you want that to be up to date with the list of products that have been approved. They can find it on the website.
Yes.
So the other question that we had, Felicitas, please confirm that you can be able to unmute. I've been able to give you presenter rights right now.
Yes, I can see now it's active, although I've typed something.
All right, go
EAC was launched in 2012, and we initially had an priority list, which we requested applications. We went to mapping of common applications. What SADC did initially was, okay, the other challenge EAC had was to develop documentations, CTD requirements and everything, and guidelines, while SADC directly went into joint activities. And they also did what is called mapping of common applications, whereby if an application has been deposited in one or two partner states, you are given an opportunity to express interest or to agree to your applications being assessed at the regional level. So EAC, we have now started mapping of common applications, and that's why even most of the applications have gone up. My colleague has mentioned the issue of funding. It's not a big issue. It was an issue, but now we are handling it and we are getting funding from ODA NEPAD. But also countries are able to fund the assessors to participate in joint activities. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doc. I think you provided more clarity on that question. Moving on, what are some of the common reasons for dossier rejections or delays under the EAC MRH pathway, and how can applicants proactively address them?
Okay, dossier common reason for the dossier rejections and delays.
Yes.
Okay. One of the challenges applicants understanding the requirements that are required for submission. So I think this is on both sides, capacity building. They're supposed to be aware of on what are the guidelines saying and what are the technical informations that they're supposed to be compiled. So if it's a non-well complied dossier application will lead to some delays. There will be to and fro movements of communication, several rounds of communications between the regulator and the applicant. And also another thing, it means some of the information maybe needs to be earlier initiated. So you submit your applications and maybe some of the informations are not yet completely done. For example, you're supposed to conduct maybe stability data. You know, you need some 12 or 24 months data, but you're submitting your application. So it means once it's reached to an end, it will need to wait. Some other issues, it means such as the GMP inspections, these processes needs to go parallel. Once you initiate the marketing authorization application, at the same time, you need to inquire on the GMP inspection rather than waiting till at the end. We are waiting for the approval of your product, but the GMP inspection has also not been applied. So this will also somehow delay the process. So it means your facility needs to be first inspected so that your product may get full approval. So there are such scenarios. And dossier rejection, it means data manipulations, some data manipulations, or maybe several rounds of communications without being able to clarify or to submit the concrete data that are required. And maybe there's a sign that there's issue on the data integrity that have been submitted. It may somehow lead to rejection. And sometimes if your formulation maybe has some, that is an example, maybe it has some ingredient which is not acceptable to be used and it has been included, or maybe there are limits which they are above acceptable standards, it may lead also your product maybe to be rejected. And I understand that there will be several communications between the regulator before reaching to a conclusion that your product is being rejected. So that is the scenario for some cases.
All right, thank you so much. As I continue with the questions, I want to bring up the how you can be able to register for the other session. So you have, if you can see on my screen, there's link to, there's a code that you can scan to be able to register for the second session, that is navigating EAC MRH recommendation adoption, the experiences, challenges, and opportunities. We will have speakers from all the countries. So please tune in. It will be on April 3rd. And as I continue, do go ahead and scan. The other question that we have, I'll take 3 more questions so that we also close it out, because I'm seeing we are running out of time. The other question that I will have is, what are the key obstacles preventing the EAC from establishing and implementing a centralized regulatory procedure?
A centralized regulatory procedure. Maybe they could clarify more on this question, because so far we are united and we are collaborating with other member states within the region, implementing common requirements, common policies, and at the end, agreeing to the decisions that have been made, for instance, through the EAC MRH pathway. If there's a recommendation, all the member states tend to mutually agree to the recommendations or approvals or suggestions or rejections. So maybe they could clarify. I think perhaps they're talking about the maybe management system, maybe a digitalized integrated system. I'm not sure about this question, but so far if the question is about the centralized integrated system for handling applications and all that, EAC have been working on it, and to this stage they've reached to a promising stage that they may come to an end on this project and finalize and to have an integrated system. So perhaps, as you said, we might have another session. I believe there'll be a speaker clarifying more on this administrative part of it, regarding an integrated management system or a digital system for all the EAC member states. I may not have so much to talk about it. Yeah.
That's okay. That's okay, Diana. Thank you so much. The next question is, where GMP is concerned, do you recognize approval from the NRAs, or do you perform 100% audits at the product sites, manufacturing sites?
Okay. There's 2 scenarios. There's a situation whereby one applicant is approaching the EAC MRH route, but in that particular time, they have never been inspected by the EAC Joint Inspection Team. So it means for this case, the best route or the best approach, you should apply for the EAC Joint GMP inspection. For that case, each member states, each representative or inspector will be involved to participate in the EAC joint inspection. However, there is a few scenarios whereby applicants approach the route, but they're already inspected by the individual national regulatory authority. So it means earlier they've used the national route for the GMP inspection. So it is acceptable. We have the EAC expert working group for the GMP. So communication will be made. So if the GMP has been done under the individual route, it is acceptable. It will not limit the particular country to approve their particular product, because we have a bit of different path. We have medicine registration and we have GMP inspection. So once we finalize our part, the GMP team also have their part to conclude. And if the national route have been done, it will not limit the registration of that particular product. But if any of the country, or maybe there's a scenario that no inspection has been done, then the EAC joint GMP inspection can be done as an alternative. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Diana. I think I can see Dr. Felistas has been able to take some question here regarding pharmaceutical technician from Tanzania. I'm trying to see who has not been answered. How do we ensure? Sorry, let me take the one for Jessica. One of the benefits mentioned for EAC MRH registration pathway is lower regulatory costs. What does this mean? Because we still have to pay fees to all partner states where we would like to market the product, and then also pay the GMP application fees.
Can you come again with the question?
One of the benefits mentioned for EAC registration pathway is lower regulatory costs. What does this mean? Because we still have to pay registration fees to all partner states where we would like to market the product, then also pay the GMP application fees.
Okay. I think once you save time, you also save the cost, because once you use one route, it means there'll be reduced duplication of work. Imagine maybe submitting application to different countries, maybe for medicine registration, and also again for GMP inspections. So all that is covered by one route or one pathway. So it means there'll be just one-time completion of that activity. Yes, I understand that you're supposed to pay the payment to the individual country, but keep in mind that the initiative is looking forward into having a centralized center where you just make the payment at once. We have not reached there, but the plan is to have a single entity whereby you submit your application and it is agreed or it's reviewed by all the countries without a repetition of submission. So that's what we are aiming at. So still, the procedure has proved to reduce the duplication of work and also to reduce some timelines compared to going through the national route compared to the EAC MRH route. So that is the what is seen under that pathway.
That is clear. Thank you so much, Diana. With that, I'll come to the end of the Q&A. I see we have so many. We'll not be able to take them all at once right here. So kindly requesting if you have additional Q&As, additional questions rather, please post them directly to the Secretariat. I believe the email is on the website, although I'll ask my colleague Juliet to share the same email over here so that the rest can have it as well for the EAC Secretariat, so that the remaining questions can be addressed directly through them. And I see we are 8 minutes past time. We apologize for going overboard because this is looks like it's a very interesting topic and people are very curious to learn about it and the entire process and what it looks like. So without further ado, I had a Menti session prepared for you, but I want to release you because I don't want to hold you any more than I have. But do feel free to share feedback with us on how you found this session and any other topics that you feel we should cover when it comes to registration or just anything within your department, whether you're in pharmacovigilance, supply chain, anything related to pharmaceutical systems. We are happy to provide platforms to share knowledge on challenges that you're having at your capacity at work. So I'll come to the end of the session, but before I do, I'd like to send a special thank you to Dr. Felice Tassiano, the head of bioequivalence division at Pharmacy and Poisons Board. We wouldn't be gathered here today if not for her. She was the one that facilitated the partnerships that were necessary for us to learn about this pathway. And so with that, we extend a heartfelt thanks to you, Dr. Felistas. Looking forward to the second session. Sorry to hear that we will not be the one facilitating it, but we are looking forward to learning to whoever will represent you. Diana, thank you so much for committing your time to be here with us, taking us through the pathway. You've been very insightful, and also for your patience in taking the questions that we had for you. I know that some of them were not easy. Dr. Felicitas, thank you for supporting her in that matter as well. And I'll each give you maybe 1 minute to give us a parting shot before we leave. So we'll start with Dr. Felicitas and move on to Diana. Diana, maybe you can go ahead. I think Felicitas might not be around.
Okay, hello, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay. Thank you very much for organizing this session. I can see we managed to have a number of participants who are very interested about this pathway. I believe we might have some other opportunities and forums like this to explain more about this pathway, and at the end they'll manage to benefit out of it. And at the end of the day, all Africans, we aim for the access of medicine for all African citizens in the continent. So thank you very much, and thank you all who have provided your questions. In one way or another, I believe they've helped to clarify the process, and I believe we'll have another chance to meet again and discuss about this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Diana. Dr. Felicitas, are you back? All right. So it looks like she's not. I hope you have gotten the chance to register for the second part. It will be in April. April 3rd, that is on a Thursday, same time, same place, Microsoft Teams. I hope you saw the scanner, and you've been able to scan and register. We look forward to having you. There will be more representative from the other national regulatory authorities, and we hope that you'll come prepared with questions on the challenges that you also are encountering with the pathways in your own countries. And with that, I wish you all a lovely evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.